if you're irritated about something, if you're fearful, if you're angry, if you're hateful, if you're depressed, if you're on that end of the emotional scale that doesn't feel good, then you are, by virtue of the thought you're thinking right now, pinching yourself off from the resonance. In other words, there's a gap between you and you. But there's something even more that we want you to understand, because we know many of you have been listening to us for a while, and you get this emotional scale. You know that on one end of it you feel wonderful, and on the other end of it you don't feel good. And you have a sense of the emotional guidance that that's all about. But we want to lay out for you here today, in terms that you just cannot miss, that the reason that you ever feel negative emotion is because you, in your physical body, have caused an expansion of the total you. And now you, in your physical body, aren't keeping up. So if it were not for your life which caused you to expand, your not going wouldn't be a problem. In other words, if someone called you on the telephone and said, "Hello, you don't know me. I'm just calling to tell you I will never call you again," you would say, "All righty then." But if someone you really care about were to tell you that, that contrasting experience would cause you to launch a powerful rocket of desire. And because you've expanded in a new place, now the evidence that you're looking at is so far from the expansion that you've taken, you would feel the vibrational discord. There would not be the resonance or harmony. There would not be the alignment that you are really reaching for. So you've come forth explicitly to explore contrast. And some say, "Abraham, I don't really get this. If I was pure positive energy with no resistance before I came into this body, tell me again, why did I come forth into this body?" I wanted contrast. Is that what you're saying, you crazy non-physical ghost? Is that what you're saying? I wanted this contrast. And we say, "Oh, you did. You wanted the contrast because you wanted the expansion. But you did not plan on hanging around in separation from the expansion. You said, I'll go forth, I'll explore contrast. The contrast will inspire my new desire. And when the new desire is inspired, I will turn my undivided attention toward it." But sometimes what happens is, you've had the experience when some dear person in your life just bugs the life out of you, just harasses you and harasses you and harasses you into expansion, 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 expansion. There are people who are responsible for the majority of your expansion, in fact. So here you are, this expanded being, soaring with all of this new becoming, but you in your physical form are focused upon this person who's irritating you. So it's so interesting that the person who caused you such expansion, you are now using as your excuse not to expand. That's why you're extra, extra mad at them, you see. Because they're hooked in with you. You're tied together as this collaboratively co-creative partnership. So we want to help you today. We want to draw your attention toward this vibrational reality. We want you to get a feel of this vibrational reality, because if you can understand it, everything that you have lived and are living, or anybody else that you're observing, will begin to make sense to you. So do you get it that you were source before you came into this body? And do you get it that even though you're in this body, that you're still expanding this source? Do you get that? Can you accept that expanded part of you, this vibrational reality is swirling? And have you been hearing about law of attraction, which says that which is likened to itself is drawn? So, of course, when you're focused upon something unwanted, you get more of that unwanted stuff. It's just the way the law works. But this is the bigger picture that we want you to understand. Life has caused you to become this, and the larger part of you, your inner being, the source within you, stands in the middle of this vibrational reality, in this vortex of creation. And as law of attraction responds to this vortex that was spinning long before you came into this body and is spinning faster now that you're in this body, contributing to this vortex, this is a veritable vortex of creation. And hear this, all cooperative components are being assembled in this vortex. Do you get what that means? Everything that you've asked for and everything that's necessary to bring it about, just like the way this planet came into being, just the way this planet spins in its orbit. In other words, everything that you see that is now physical manifestation, this reality that you're all so excited about, this reality was non-physical reality first, a vibrational reality, a vortex of creation. So if you can accept that, yes, while you're standing here in this physical body, you are what you are, but you are so much more, and you are so close to allowing everything that's in this vortex to become. And that's what this gathering is about. We call it a law of attraction based seminar because the law of attraction is what is assembling the cooperative components. But in this art of allowing understanding, we want you to ask yourself the question and hopefully find the answer here today. Are you one of the cooperative components? Are you letting yourself be one of the cooperative components to what you have asked for? Or are you over here beating the drum of why you ask for it? Life causes you to ask for more money. Ask for money. There's a lot of that going on. Asking for more, asking for more, asking for more, asking for more. Becoming. Your vortex of creation is spinning. And all cooperative components have already been assembled. That's why we can say to you, it's done. It's done. It's already done vibrationally. Are you a cooperative component? No, I'd rather complain about not having enough money. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough. I have never had enough. I can't remember having enough money. I don't like not having enough money. I hardly know anybody who has enough money. Rich bugger over there, he's got enough money, but he probably deals drugs. So as you are beating the drum of the same unpleasant thing which caused you to ask, now you're using that same unpleasant thing, that contrasting thing which caused you to expand and caused the universe to open, which caused the vortex to spin, which causes the assemblance of all things necessary to give you everything that you ask for, right down to the last detail. Are you going? No, I'd rather complain. And that's really what this gathering is about. We want you, by the time you leave here today, to understand your relationship with your vortex. We want you to understand your relationship with who you really are. And when you care about how you feel, then you're able to understand your relationship with your own vortex of creation. So do you get it? Can you feel this assembling of cooperative components? Can you feel the doneness of what you've asked for? Do you know your veritable fortune, the bodily conditions that you seek, your lovers, all things that you're asking for have already been gathered and are lined up, waiting for you to enter the vortex where you have visual awareness, sensual awareness of them. You can't set your radio dial on 6:30 a.m. and hear what's being broadcast on 98.7 FM. You got to be in the vortex in order to see the combining and cooperative components. Do you understand? So if you are in despair or fear, even though what you want has gathered, you're so far from it you can't see it. That's why you don't believe it. You don't see any evidence of it. If you're angry, you're still not seeing it. Probably wanting it more, but still not seeing it. When you're in frustration or overwhelmment, you're not in the vortex. You're not allowing yourself full vision or manifestation. You're not allowing it to unfold into your experience. When you get into hope, now you're in the vicinity. When you are feeling hopeful about something, even though you haven't seen it, that means you've released enough resistance. And in the releasing of resistance, you are cooperating enough vibrationally that the vortex can bring you in. You see how it works? The vortex is bringing in all cooperative components. But if you're over there beating the drum of a different vibration, then you're not a cooperative component, and you can't be someone who comes into vibrational alignment with your own creation. You're a holdout of your own creation. And what's so interesting about that is that if life hadn't caused you to create it, you wouldn't even notice through negative emotion that you're not there. In other words, if you hadn't expanded, not going wouldn't feel uncomfortable. So when you feel negative emotion, it always means two things. First, you've created one whopping swirling vortex, and you're not going. Oh, you're going. You're just going to wait till you croak, maybe, to go. We don't think you should have to croak to get in the vortex. We think that you should be able to release enough resistance by focusing upon enough good feeling things, by giving yourself and others the benefit of the doubt, by giving yourself a break, by looking for reasons to praise and reasons to appreciate rather than reasons to criticize and reasons to poke and probe. When you release or relax your resistance, the vortex will bring you in, and then your heart will soar, your mind will clear, your path of creation will unfold, and then you will be living the life you intended when you came forth into this physical body. That's what you came for. So let's say that somebody's been giving you a hard time, and so you've created and created and created recently really strong components. You've added them to your vortex. And now you've meditated. You know, when you meditate, you release thoughts, so you're in the vortex. Or you've gone on a rampage of appreciation, you're in the vortex. You stop doing those things that you do that kept you out of the vortex, and when you stop doing those things you do that kept you out of the vortex brings you in, and when you're in there, oh, it is so sweet. Your body feels good, your mind is clear, it's evident to others around you, you're thriving. But then, even inside the vortex, the phone rings. You know who it is. Or something happens. And as you give your attention to this subject that is of a different vibrational frequency than the vortex spits you out. Because only cooperative components can abide. So you get the idea that we want you to release your resistance so that the vortex can take you in. But what happens if the vortex spits you out? Is it a problem? No. Because you came forth into this physical experience understanding that the creative process is 3 steps. Step 1, ask. And you need contrast to do that. If you don't have a variety to choose from, you have no way of asking. So step 1 is important. And step 1 happens in the majority of cases when you are outside of the vortex. You know what you don't want, you ask for what you do want. Step 2 is not your job. That's the job of source. That's the job of your inner being. That's the job of law of attraction. That's the job of the vortex. Step 2 is when you ask, it is given every single time. And it's not just given. The vortex and the source within you becomes the equivalent of all that you've been asking for. So step 2 is not your work. And step 1, you don't have to work at, because the contrast just causes you to ask. Step 3 is your work. And what is step 3? Step 3 is to be conscious and aware of the way you feel, reaching for the best feeling thought you can find from wherever you are, so that you will allow the vortex to take you in. Allow your entry into the vortex. If we were standing in your physical shoes, we would be eagerly aware of this vortex of creation. But we would not freak out when we're having a step 1 moment. When you're having a step 1 moment, understand your relationship to the vortex. Say to yourself, I'm ornery as I can be as I'm having this step 1 moment, but the good news is I'm putting things in the vortex. In other words, at least be aware that that's what you're doing. And then say, and I know the happy old vortex is over there just spinning around, gathering all the cooperative components, but for now I intend to just complain. Because in my complaining, I'm adding more to the vortex. That's my justification. And we say, yes, you are. And we do want you to be easy when you're not in the vortex, but we want you to be in the vortex. And you don't need to worry. There is enough contrast that surrounds you that you'll have plenty of step 1 opportunities. Let your dominant intent be to be in the vicinity of the vortex. Let this loving, God-force vortex bring you in. Let yourself be all that you have become. That's what will happen when you have your, what you call your death experience. We call it croaking. We try to be as disrespectful as we can of death, since there isn't any. You're always alive, sometimes physically focused. And as you came into this physical experience, it was your intention to let the contrast inspire the expansion. But do you know what the most exhilarating thing that you were looking forward to in this expression of physical life? Do you know what you were really wanting? Do you know the reason that you keep coming forth into the physical experience? Because there is nothing more delicious than to have expanded and held yourself apart from it for a little bit, and then release the resistance and let yourself go. That's the river of life that you want to live. You want to continually be in this place where you're reaching and allowing and reaching and allowing and reaching and allowing. And you don't need to worry about it. It will ever be thus.